Hey, how's it going, friends? Thank you for tuning in to VR Revelations once again. It is January 21st, 2023, 2:55 a.m. So, before I jump into this report of this major offensive that is supposed to be taking place here pretty soon by the Russians on Ukraine, I just want to remind you to go down below in the description and go and subscribe to my Rumble channel. Click on the link there, the Rumble link. That is going to be where I will be uploading all these videos as a backup just in case this YouTube channel gets taken down, because of course I'm trying to cover everything that is taking place in Ukraine, but a lot of times if they realize you're saying something that goes against the mainstream agenda, they will strike the channel and take it down. And so if that were to be the case, even though it's a really small channel right now, I will continue to upload my content on Rumble. So go down below in the description, just click the link, and if you don't have a Rumble account, create one, because a lot of creators are going over to Rumble since, there's more freedom of speech over there, and I think it's going to become a big platform. It already is. A lot of creators have gone over there. So make sure you create a Rumble account and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump right into it. As you can see here, the Daily Beast, which is a pro-Western news source, is reporting here on a major offensive that Ukraine says the Russians are going to launch in order to try and encircle Ukraine, like the whole country. Now, I've been reporting on this or mentioning this throughout most of my videos. Now, Ukraine since last year has been saying that the Russians were getting ready to launch a large-scale offensive. Now, if you remember at the beginning of the conflict last year in February, the Russians launched a pretty large-scale offensive. As a matter of fact, they actually entered the capital right over here. And so it looks like they're planning to do just that once again, but this time they are looking to literally take control of most of the country. Now, I'm going to read the article, but I just want to give you a quick summary. Essentially, you can see that obviously Russia controls this whole eastern side of Ukraine, right? And they're about to achieve their objectives right down here in the east. Now, the thing is, they've also been building up troops right up here in Belarus, which is an ally of Russia. When Russia launched that large-scale offensive at the beginning of the war, they went through Belarus at that time, and that's how they reached the capital so quickly. So now, the rumors are that this large offensive isn't only going to come from the east of Ukraine as the Russians make a push here, but it's also going to come from the west through Belarus and from the south down here, from this whole area, which is known as the, let's see here, the Zaporizhia area. So pretty much this whole area down here in the south, you can see that Russia has control of. And so they're going to launch an offensive from three sides. From the north, up here through Belarus, the Ukrainians are suspicious about Belarus actually joining in this major operation. That could be possible, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. So they're going to be coming from the north right up here, and they're going to be pushing from the east also and from the south. And what the article, as we'll be reading here, is implying is that they are going to also try and encircle pretty much the capital, right? So from the north, they'll come down here, and then they'll come down from the south. And so this whole area here is pretty much going to be encircled. And essentially, they're going to be cutting off the capital and all of central Ukraine from the west of Ukraine, which is closer to Ukraine's allies, such as Poland and all these other countries down here. So, it wouldn't be too smart for the Russians to get too close to the western side over here of Ukraine, since that can that can make all these other bordering countries nervous, and that could lead to a larger war. But according to the report here, they are going to invade here from the north once again. And what I'm assuming here is that they're going to try and pretty much encircle the capital and take control of the whole central area of Ukraine, pretty much. So this will be a major this will be like a death blow, right? This is like going all in to end this now and to topple Zelensky. But let's actually read it from a Western news source here. So you don't have to believe me. Again, a lot of analysts have been rumoring about this, and mainly these rumors are based on Ukraine's own claims. Since December, they've been saying that the Russians are getting ready to launch a major offensive. So this is coming via Ukraine, but now we have some Western media news sources here reporting on it. So it says Ukraine is braced for a major new offensive that could begin within weeks. Again, this article was updated here on January 20th, so just yesterday. So it says Ukraine is braced for a major new offensive that could begin within weeks. One of President Zelensky's key insiders told the Daily Beast that they expect a looming Russian move to encircle the country with a simultaneous attack on 3 fronts. This will be historic. Rustem Umerov, a member of the team negotiating with Russia, I think this guy is a member of parliament, if I'm not wrong, there in Ukraine. A member of the team negotiating with Russia said the Kremlin might be preparing for a fresh advance. He said that Ukraine was threatened from many directions but did not specify where the attacks could come from. Russians are encircling us from 240 degrees, attacking from the Black Sea, from Belarus, and from the Luhansk and Donetsk regions, Umerov said, as we saw there on the map. Russia declared its first victory in the war for months this week, claiming they had taken the salt mining town of Soledar in Donetsk. That's now been verified by multiple sources on both sides. Mercenary fighters working for Wagner, Putin's private army, have led the charge on Soledar and the nearby city of Bakhmut, which, according to reports, the Ukrainians are telling their soldiers to back off of Bakhmut so that they don't lose their forces there, which is very surprising because that was is one of the most fortified areas. But I can't, I haven't reported on that until we see some clear reports come out. But as I reported like 2 videos ago, they are taking some smaller villages on the south of Bakhmut, and it looks like they're getting ready to encircle it. And once that falls, this is probably going to give way to this large offensive that we're reading about here. Fighters recruited from Russian prisons were key to the onslaught. The Daily Beast reported that their fearless advances towards near certain death helped the Russians identify pockets of Ukrainian resistance. Okay. At least they're admitting they're fearless of death. They are coming from all directions with 3 lines of fighting: criminals, private contractors, and regular forces. Their goals are to get rid of their criminals and to test and train their contractors, Umerov said. So, there's all these reports, and the Western media is pointing out that Russia is like using all these criminals, right? Pretty much prisoners, and they've formed the Wagner group, and which is kind of embarrassing. Like, if they're saying that Ukraine is losing to a bunch of ragtag criminals, so you tell me, right? Ukrainian intelligence and defense experts believe that it is all preparation for a large-scale ground offensive bolstered by more recruits to the regular army. Colonel Olin Zdanov, a former staffer in the Operational Directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, told the Daily Beast that Ukraine's military and intelligence units are tracking the movement of Russian troops in real time. So through satellite, through drones, as most of us have been doing, everybody analyzing this on YouTube and on social media, we've been tracking the movements of the Russian army just as they are. I'm sure their information is more up to date minute by minute. But again, we've seen multiple reports of Russian troop buildups over here in Belarus, which is making Kyiv nervous. And, that's with good reason, because again, at the beginning of the conflict, Russia did invade through Belarus. And, I believe this report. I think that's exactly what's going to happen again, and it's going to be the death blow to Ukraine. So it says there, it continues on. Colonel Ole, a former staffer in Operational Directorate, tracking the movement of Russian troops in real time. We are watching Russia build lots of forces in the Zaporizhia region. It looks like they are planning a pincer attack from Kharkiv in the east and Zaporizhia in the south directions. They will attempt to capture all of Ukraine's major defense forces, Zadnov told the Daily Beast. We are also watching Russian military constantly moving 10 to 12,000 men in Belarus to the north. They are also reinforcing in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions. Colonel Zdanov says there is only one man in the world who knows when the war in Ukraine will end, President Joe Biden. What? That would be Vladimir Putin there, mister. He believes that the war will go on until the White House signs off on all the additional military firepower Ukraine is requesting. Okay. President Biden has a detailed scenario of this war in the White House. The sooner we get weapons, the sooner we finish this war. Right. Yeah, there is no finishing this war. You're not going to beat Russia. They'll destroy the world before that happens, just like the United States would, or any other nuclear superpower. But it looks like the U.S. wants Russia to exhaust itself with all of its war efforts. Right. So they're waiting for the Russians to run out of ammo? Okay. Zadnov told the Daily Beast, in Russia, they now have a cult of death on all levels, from propagandist to the Orthodox patriarch. Russians are called to go and die in this war as their grandfathers died in previous wars. According to the most recent polls by the Levada Center, the number of Russians who believe the country should definitely continue military actions in Ukraine has dropped to 23%. And so Putin is updating his rhetoric. He no longer talks about the unity of Ukraine and Russian peoples. The Kremlin has given up on calling for Russians to die for the ancient Kiev Rus heritage. Instead, they are casting this war as a mighty battle against NATO and the United States and Britain, which again, this guy literally just admitted that that's true. He literally just said that the only man that knows when this will stop is President Joe Biden, right up here. Colonel Zavadov says there is only one man in the world who knows when the war in Ukraine will end, President Joe Biden. So, again, contradicting yourself there, numbnuts, the Daily Beast. On Saturday, his top advisor, Nikolai Patrushev, said the events in Ukraine are not a clash between Moscow and Kyiv. This is a military confrontation between NATO and, above all, the United States and England with Russia. Yeah, I think that shouldn't be any secret to anybody right now. Putin and Patrushev are both graduates of Soviet KGB schools. They have always seen the United States and its allies as enemies worth destroying at all costs. Again, I've said this is just a continuation of the Cold War. The Russians just happened to let the United States take control of Ukraine, right on their border. And so the United States is making the most of the situation, unfortunately, for the innocent people in Ukraine. So, yeah, there you have it, guys. This major offensive now, according to the Daily Beast here, seems to be a plan to literally take control of the whole of Ukraine by Russia attacking here from the south. So they would push upwards, and they would push from the north through Belarus, also down here. So sort of in a pincer movement, a major pincer movement, as they've been doing in Soledar and are about to do in Bakhmut. And then once they have the pincer movement right up here and they surround the capital, they're going to push from the east and essentially try to center all the Ukrainian forces, and I'm assuming have them surrender, and have Zelensky come to the table and agree to surrender. But in reality, I think Zelensky is probably going to flee the country once he's 100% sure it's pretty evident that they lost the conflict. And I think really that's going to be the only solution or for Russia, because Zelensky, he's not willing to even look at Putin, let alone speak with him. And they've already claimed that they won't stop trying to take control of all of this, which now belongs to Russia legally, according to Russia. So the only other thing left for the Russians is to strike as soon as they can at the leadership and try to put an end to this conflict as quickly as they can before more reinforcements come from the allied nations of Ukraine, and also so that they can stop the deaths of their Russian reserves, because again there will be a future conflict between Russia and these other nations at some point, which I believe will lead to a nuclear war according to Bible prophecy. So there you have it, guys. Major offensive here to encircle Ukraine according to the Daily Beast. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. And again, make sure you give the video a like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you click on the Rumble link in the subscription so that you can follow me over there in case anything happens to this channel. Everything's fine as of right now, so all things are looking good. But remember, the truth is stranger than fiction. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.